Hello, welcome to another GoldMine 101, our regular series of short presentations giving you hints and tips for getting the most out of GoldMine CRM. And in this session, I'm going to walk you through another example of an automated process for handling what you might want to do to a new customer. So imagine a new client who purchases from you for the first time. What sort of things do you want to happen automatically with that client? Now, just thinking about it, having a structured, I'll call it a customer onboarding process in a B2B or even indeed B2C provides several benefits for you. First of all, it dramatically increases customer retention and reduces churn of those clients. When customers fully understand how to use your products or services, how to deal with you, they can see that early value post-sale, and they're more likely to stay with you long term. That's one of the key things that we want to achieve with a GoldMine and indeed any CRM system. And that's especially critical in B2B, where you may have contracts, maybe you have sales and contracts of a high value. Second, it reduces strain on your support and customer support teams by putting up front, addressing common questions they might have and challenges when they're coming on board with you, thereby preventing, hopefully, stopping any support tickets or issues before they happen. So your team can focus on more important work rather than running around dealing with customer issues. Thirdly, it accelerates your time to value for the customer. A well-designed onboarding process helps customers implement and start benefiting from your solution faster, and that builds confidence in their purchase decision they made with you and strengthens that relationship with you. Fourth, it creates a kind of consistency of the customer experience because of that kind of structured process, rather than each salesperson thinking of what to do differently. You know, you as a business owner or manager, you've got that structured step by step of what's going to happen to who, and when is it going to take place and so on. So thereby making sure that you've got the same high quality introduction of dealing with every client in the same way. And fifthly and lastly, it provides valuable data insights because we're tracking this. It's being recorded in the GoldMine system, tracking how customers move through your onboarding process, any kind of outcomes from those. So you can better manage situations and predict what customers might need in the future based on that process. So thanks very much for joining me on this session as regards this very simple onboarding process. Just a brief intro. Wizard Systems are a specialist CRM solutions provider, and we help out small and mid-sized companies improve their sales productivity, marketing, and customer service through the use of simple and affordable solutions like GoldMine. Now, the audio part of this event, this call, is one way only. You've got a question on anything I'm going on about, pop that into the questions section on your meeting control panel, and I'll do my best to answer that at the end. Just a brief mention, a little bit more detail as regard what we do at Wizard Systems. We're a long-standing partner, supplier of GoldMine CRM. We've been doing it a long time. And as a leading CRM solutions provider, we actually do provide not only GoldMine, but a number of other different solutions, all very different in what they do and what they look like and how you access them and so on. And the key benefit of that is that you're dealing with a vendor independent supplier. We can, based on your requirements over time, we can match the right system to you. We've got experience across lots of different major CRM solutions, and our team has got the know-how to guide our clients through selecting the best software for them based on their requirements. But as regards GoldMine, we're a one-stop shop where you can provide any kind of service around the product, extra licenses, upgrades, add-ons to GoldMine, training at your place, our place or online, and ongoing support as well. Okay, let's get into this example automated process then for how you deal with a new client. And following on from previous sessions, on previous events, I've given you a little intro into what automated processes are, how are they created. Remember, we create them, we've then got to attach them to one or many records in GoldMine, customer records in GoldMine, and then we've got to execute. We've got to run those processes to make those wonderful actions take place. So this is just an example of a new customer process. Every company is different. I'm just going to give you a few ideas here of what sort of things you might want GoldMine to do automatically for you when you get that first sale. So here is the automated process center in GoldMine, where we create and manage and edit our processes. I've created this one already before our call. Let me just double click on here to take you through the wizard, step by step, all the different components of this quite simple process. So first of all, we give it a meaningful name so that you'll recognize it later on. Any of your other users can recognize sort of what does it do. You can give it a code. That can be a quick way for other users to select this process from a list. This is called new. When you get a list of processes, when you're attaching it to a record, a user could just press the N button and they jump to the first N in that list. If you've got lots of them, that is. Right. Next important consideration as regards the options of this process. Hopefully you can see this. So we're only going to allow one attachment of this process per contact. So this process is going to be applied to a record, but we don't want multiple ones happening at the same time. That could lead to confusion with duplicate actions and activities and tasks being taken place. So think about that with the process you're creating. Typically, you just have one of these processes happening with each of your contacts at any one point in time. This middle one here, execute this process only when scanning a group of contacts. This is this background activity thing that's going on in the background in GoldMine when either an administrator or automatically once a day or twice a day or whatever frequency you want, GoldMine is scanning itself, looking for things to do, looking for trigger conditions and actions to take place based on the events within your process. So that's typically a common one there. Lastly, do you want to allow your users to attach this process? Yes or no? Again, that's an individual decision you've got to make. But essentially, they're the typical choices you would select for a process like this. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty of the one or many things that you want to take place in this process. Remember back to previous events when we've gone through automated processes. There are two types of events. There's preemptive. That's this little prefix here, a P, preemptive, and then sequential. So when GoldMine runs through all the processes that need to be looked at, it will, for every process, it's going to look at the preemptive events first. They're think of them like checking events, checking if this process is still valid for this particular customer. All right. And it will run through those. In my example here, I've got two. You may have more. And then sequentially, one after the other. It's going to go through this one, this one, and that one. I'll go through those in a minute. Anyway, a preemptive event. Let me just double click here and I can just explain a little bit more detail what this preemptive event does. So maybe you want to just double check that if you're only going to have this process work on brand new clients, and if you've got situations where you're making multiple sales over time, maybe you don't want this. Maybe you just want this process to happen once and once only, not to be repeated. So what we can do is we can create a trigger looking at a history activity. So something in the history tab of that record. And if I click on options here, I can further define what GoldMine is going to look for. So it's looking for an email activity. It's looking for an email in the history. Over on the right-hand side here, in this little option section, max age 0. So whatever age. If I put in there 365, it's only going to look through the last year. All right, so that's the whole idea about that max age. We can select activity code, result code, user, and then the reference. I'm looking for an email that said, thanks for your order. So if I've already sent out sometime in the past, thanks for your order email, then just click OK there. Then this action will take place. What do I want to take place? I want to remove this process from the client record. Job done. Okay. Simple little checking event. If we've done this already, think about something that's changed in the record. Something that's happened to show anyone that they've had all these different activities, the onboarding process already. So that's an example of one preemptive event. Here's another one. Let's just have a look at this one. So remove this if they don't want to be contacted. Maybe you get the client and for whatever reason they say, look, there's no need to contact us for whatever reason. We're okay. Don't bother us with your emails or whatever. So you might want to sort of unsubscribe them or stop them getting these events. So you could build up, again, a number of different options here. This is a debase condition. Don't get too fretted with the word debase, but basically that's where you can build up a condition, and Wizard Systems can help you with this if you're not too familiar with what debase is or the syntax. Honestly, don't worry, it is quite logical in what it does. So it's going to define there. If the client's unsubscribed, wherever you put unsubscribe or please don't contact me, might be in a contact field, for example, just create that little debase condition too. It's like a filter, all right? And again, we're going to remove the process. Not going to happen. Now, assuming that we run through those and those trigger conditions are not met, then we will step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. We'll go through blow by blow all of these activities that will happen automatically. So we've got that sale. Typically what would happen, you might send out a thanks for your order. Thanks for becoming a customer. So we double click here. This is a sequential event. Sequential events will be numbered from 100 to 999, and they'll just be handled in that sequence that you've got there in your process. Right, trigger on, elapsed number of days. So 1 day later, we are going to send an email, click on options. What's the email going to be? Select the user. Of course, you would have already created the template. You can't create the email here. You've got to have created it before and just send it out to somebody to check that it is kind of all aligned and spacing is right and so on. The formatting is correct. So that's going to send out that thank you for your order email, and we've got different recipients and history options there on this email event as well. So that's step number one. As you can see here, 30 days later, did we miss anything? So they've had the thank you for your order. Maybe we just want to check everything's happy. They've had everything they're expected. So again, certain elapsed number of days after that previous event. All right. So it's going to clock through 30 odd days. And again, the action to take place on the 30th day from the last event is send out, a relevant email again for that particular process. Maybe a lot of your business comes through word of mouth or referrals. So wouldn't it be a good idea to kind of encourage that, asking clients for any referrals or recommendations of other people to contact? So that may be something else you might want to introduce into the process. So step number 3 there, ask for a referral. Very simply, could be another email, could be a phone call, but basically 30 days after the previous event, we're going to send out an email. What's the email going to be? Asking them for a referral. So that would be step number 3. As well as emails, I mean, there's lots of different activities, actions that you could choose for this. Back in the day, we used to use Word, so you could send out letters if you want to. There is still the Word link, but typically it would be email now. And then maybe finally in this process, we're going to make a physical phone call to that customer just to check that everything is okay with them and whether they need anything else from us. So again, if I just double click on here, or I could click on edit, double click, brief description of what the event's going to be, customer care call, the sequence is going to be, elapsed number of days after the previous event, what's going to take place, what's the action going to be. It's going to be a scheduled activity. We're going to create a new reminder or task. And again, we covered this on previous 101 sessions. An introduction into these different types of actions that you can create. So here we are, a phone call. All right, we're going to create a phone call. Then think about the ownership of that call. Who is going to be the assigned user that's going to do that call? It could be the record owner, person that owns the record. There's this record ownership feature in GoldMine. We could assign the user based on the activity details. It could be the user that attached the process to the record. It could be the user that's currently logged in running these processes, or we could select the user from a predefined field in your GoldMine database if you apply it that way, like the salesperson's name or something like that, which would make it more logical. Activity details. In here, of course, you put in a little bit more information about the call reference. You could put in loads of notes. The notes actually, by the way, could be, you could actually put in there a little bit of a script for the user so that you could put in there all the questions that you want the salesperson to ask the customer on that phone call as a little prompt. There are other areas where you could track that kind of script information, but that'd be a good place there in the notes box of that phone call, and all the normal details that you've got there, the options on that call. So that's basically it. As I explained earlier, you've created the process. You've then got to attach it to the records. Again, we covered that on the last time. Very straightforward process. And then you've got to execute those processes. So from the automated process center, you click on execute, and it's going to go through the whole database and look for things to do. In your services section there, that's where you can set up to run automatically. So nobody needs to worry about these processes every day. As I said, you decide the frequency, every hour, once a day, twice a day, once a week, whatever it might be. And that is an example there of a simple customer onboarding process. Every company is going to differ as regards the things they want to do. There might be other things you want to do over the year or further, looking further ahead after making that all important first sale. But that's just an example there. So think about those preemptive events, all right? Those checking events, just to make sure that what you want to happen automatically is still relevant to that customer. That's what those preemptive events do. And typically, if the preemptive trigger condition is met, you're going to remove the process from that record. All right, so I hope that was interesting for you. If you've got any questions around anything to do with automated processes or this example process as well, or indeed GoldMine generally, fire away. This will be popped up on our YouTube channel as well. I'll monitor comments up there. Question from Julian, what if I need to send emails to a different contact? Right, well, so GoldMine is a contact-centric system. So the process I took you through is attached to a contact record. That contact record has a primary contact, the main person you deal with, if you like, at that company or that site or that office. So it'll be directed towards that person. If it's going to be a different contact, then they're not going to be applied to additional contacts, if that's what you mean by that. So you want to make sure that those contacts are on the primary record, or I guess what you could do with you asked about emails. With emails, you could. So emails normally would be sent straight away from the GoldMine application, but you could queue them. So, and when you queue them, you could then manually change it from recipient Fred to recipient Mary, but not ideal from an automation point of view. So, yeah, just need to think how GoldMine works. Haley, we want to repeat this on each sale. I guess this is okay. Yes, it would, but I'm just thinking, I guess it depends on how regular each of those sales are, and making sure that that your process. So I guess there's lots of questions there. Are you selling the same product, or is it you're selling product A and then a few months later you sell product B, and then a few months after that you sell product C? You may have different processes for each of those different product sales. So yes, you could do it, but just need to check it and make sure you're not duplicating those jobs, those tasks. Another question from Haley: what about a process to remind us to renew the service contract? That would be ideal. That's exactly what GoldMine could be used for. So if you've got an annual service contract and maybe you want to be reminded about the renewal or the anniversary, then maybe after 11 months, the clock's ticking by, and 30 days before the contract is due, you send out a renewal notice to the client. Again, you just need to think about, is there just one service contract per client, or are there multiple service contracts per client? GoldMine could do either, but you just need to construct your process in the relevant way. Question from Ben. Thanks for the seminar. Was this recorded? Yes, it is being recorded, Ben. It will be up on our YouTube channel as well, for you to play back as you wish. Right, I don't think there's any more questions there. So thanks very much, the three of you, for those. Latest news as of January 2025, current release of GoldMine is 2024.4. We are in the beta phase of release 2025.1, so the first release of the year 2025. And if you've got a maintenance contract with GoldMine, you can get a maintenance contract from Wizard Systems, my company, and then you can download and access these upgrades as they become available from GoldMine, and we notify our clients when they are released, and quite easy to apply to your GoldMine system as well. Right, we are running an advanced GoldMine CRM course in a couple of weeks' time, aimed at administrators or anyone wanting to go to a different level of their GoldMine knowledge. That will be at our Bristol base in the UK. We do online training, but this one is an in-person event at our training centre in Bristol. So you'd be welcome to come along to that. If you want to, we can supply with an agenda on that. But typically aimed at administrators or anyone wanting to get more advanced information, do more clever things with GoldMine. And if you've got any ideas for future topics for GoldMine that you think would be of interest to other GoldMine users as well, please drop us a line. Any of us at Wizard Systems be happy to consider those. So thanks very much for joining me today. Those of you on here live, or if you're watching this as a recording, there's different ways of connecting with us, including our YouTube channel as well. Thanks very much. We'll catch up with you in the not too distant future on another GoldMine topic. Thanks very much indeed. Bye-bye.